What's going on, guys? This is Damon, coach of the Cincinnati Reg Geekies, bringing you the ISL Season 4 draft recap. For those of you who don't know, we had our draft a few days ago. Monday, the 20th, went pretty well, besides a few signs, but we're not going to linger on those because that is in the past. And right now, what I have is a full team of 11 Mons, and I'm going to show them to you. A quick little disclaimer. I know I haven't done anything in the past. So I'm going to try to get more videos out. It is the summer, so I'm going to have a little bit more free time. We'll see if I can keep it up once school goes out, but I'm going to try and get all my battles out, all my team builders out, and maybe a few extra videos like this one I'm doing right now. Next one in the queue is probably Team Builder versus Bob, so we'll see if that gets up in the next couple days. But without further ado, I'm going to show you my Season 4 draft. Yeah, so the first Mon we picked up, first pick for me in the draft, I was pick number 9, by the way, so this is pick 9 overall, was Heatran. Fire Steel type, not much to be said about it. So pretty all-around decent first pick. It's not gonna like win any awards for best first round pick, but the typing is really good. It resists a few key types, including ice, grass, and fairy. Steel and fire type coverage is very good. It also has access to rocks and earth power, which are very good moves offensively and defensively, kind of. It has stealth rocks, which is always important. It's got a massive special attack stat, 130, and not bad defenses backing it up. I believe 106 on either side. 70 speed kind of lets it down, but we're not looking to outspeed too much. Just kind of take a hit, fire back. Kind of a nice utility mine, first pick. Not really like setting any defensive, offensive roles. Just kind of there to maybe sponge a few hits if I need to and deal some good damage back. Another thing that should be mentioned is that access to the exclusive move Magma Storm, which I believe traps you at a low accuracy. I'm not entirely too sure on that. We'll look it up. Something else that I should note really quick is that this draft is actually completely original. I have not used any of these mons in League format before. So that'll be interesting. See how that goes. But moving right along, my second pick, Florges, a mono fairy type, most commonly used as a special wall with a massive 154 special defense stat. It's also got a pretty decent special attack backing it up, so those moon blasts are going to hurt. It's a Wish Passer, gets Heal Bell / Aromatherapy, whichever one of those it has, but it cleans status is, I guess. Um, yeah, it's got solid recovery. I believe it has access to some status moves. I don't know about Thunder Wave and Will-O-Wisp, but I know it has Toxic, which is always nice. Wish Pass away, deal some good Moonblast, take up any special hits. You don't see really many special attacking Steel or Poison types, so it should be able to just kind of wall pretty much anything that special attacks come my way. The physical defense is kind of abysmal, but we have other things to deal with that. And speaking of other things, we have Gliscor, my third overall pick in the draft. Yeah, Gliscor is the evolution of a Mon I used last season, Gligar. Doesn't have to carry the Eviolite, and it gets a nice ability called Poison Heal, which basically, if you get poisoned, you get 12% of your HP back every turn instead of taking poison damage or toxic damage. And there's a nice little item called Poison Orb that poisons you. So you basically get double leftovers, which is very, very nice, especially on something as bulky as this on the physical side. EQ is also going to hit pretty hard, and again, we have a Stealth Rocks user. It does also get Defog, but I cannot run that Poison Heal, so we'll see about some Defog leftover sets. It can be very cheeky on the defensive side. I'm going to try to avoid being that person, but if you ever see me run a sub-Roost Toxic set, just know I wasn't the one who made it up. But yeah, another thing I should really say about that is that it's our 4 times weak to ice, and that may be a little bit of a problem. You do see we have a big resistance to that in Heatran, but Heatran does not have reliable recovery, unlike Gliscor and Fortis, so we'll see about that. Ice shouldn't be that huge of a problem, but speaking of ice types, my fourth pick, Kyurem. Kyurem is the ice and dragon type, and this is the normal form, not the black form. I believe the black form was picked up by someone else, I don't remember who, but we have ourselves a normal Kyurem. Pretty huge attack stats. 130 in the attack and 130 in the special attack, not special defense, excuse me. It's also got a lot of HP, so it'll sponge a few hits. This is more offensive. Dragon type is amazing offensive type. Same with Ice type, and I really wanted to use an Ice type this season because my teams have always gotten destroyed by them, and so having one on my team could be pretty helpful. Again, it's not the fastest mod, I believe base 92 speed, 90 speed, something around there. Not the best coverage either. Generally, you have to run a mix set to get all the coverage you want, but that is a-okay with me because Outrage or an Ice Beam from 130 special attack or 130 physical attack, that's the other way around, by the way, is still going to hurt no matter how much investment, especially if it's super effective, and that's kind of coverage you're running. This was also my first B pickup. So far, we have used 120 of our free points. Well, 140 if you count the franchise, but I will get into that later. Next up, we have my second B pick, our second B pick, if you want to say that, Metagross. This was formerly used on Burke's champion team. If you didn't know, Burke, the coach of the New England Patriots, won the season championship, yada yada, last season for the second season in a row, and on the team and a big player was Metagross, so I figured I'd pick it up. Second steel type, that might be a bit of a problem, but the first one is not weak to fire at all. And I have Gliscor for the nice little immunity to ground, so we'll see how that works out. The first psychic on the team, and I believe the only psychic on this team, so those Zen Hub bets will come in handy. Medium Rash hurts like a truck. It hurts a lot, hits really hard, and it's got decent bulk on the physical side, so that's always handy. You know, something that Gliscor doesn't want to tank up. I got Metagross here. Not too much to be said about it. Just gonna try and punch some things. Steel types are known for hitting things pretty hard and absorbing some hits, so glad I got a few of those in the team. Next up, one of the last Pokemon I'd ever expect myself to draft, Venusaur. Venusaur was my third B tier, and you're gonna see two more of those B tiers coming up. But this is another 100 free points for me, so we are at 243 points used, counting the franchise 20 points. Yeah, Venusaur is a grass and poison type. Gen 1 starter, you know, everyone probably knows Venusaur, but no one really knows what it does in competitive, and I'm not too sure of it myself. It's got decent bulk, decent special attack, so I can only assume that's what it's supposed to do as synthesis for reliable recovery, Giga Drain, and Sludge Bomb. Offensively, Poison is a very good typing with the introduction of Fairy type in 6th gen. So, because they have a Poison type on the team, it's got a few handy resistances. Thick Fat makes it... no, it's not enough Thick Fat in the regular form. Excuse me. Yeah, not too much to be said about this pick. This was kind of sniped. This was sniped around one of the last ones that I wanted, so we have it on the team. It's there. Don't know if I'll be using it too much, but something to mention, it also gets the Chlorophyll ability, which doubles its speed in Sun, so you know, that could be interesting. We have a Fire type in Heatran. Sun is kind of okay, I guess. Nothing weak to water yet besides Gliscor, but you know, never know when Gliscor might need to take down a Starmie. Next up, we have our fast electric type and the fourth B tier, Heliolisk. This is 320 of our free points gone, 340 if you count the franchise, which we do. So 340 free points gone. Heliolisk. It's a mon I've actually been looking at for a while because for a fast electric type, it's kind of undervalued in the B tier. It's also a normal type, so it gets a very strong stab hyper voice, which is often underestimated. Volt Switch is a very strong move. It also has U-turn, just in case a pesky Gligar comes along. And you'll see more about Gligar in my Week 1 battle versus Bob, which I have not had yet, but I'm assuming he probably will bring it, since reasons. I don't know, I'll count as Metagross. So yeah, not that much coverage in Heliolisk, which is why it's not that great, but I honestly don't need a lot of the coverage because I have some other special attackers for that coverage. It's pretty fast, 109 speed, I believe 109 special attack as well, so it's going to hit pretty hard. I can run Scarf or Specs if I need to, and it's got a great array of abilities that allow it to be used in any type of weather and counter a lot of things. So for example, Dry Skin, I can absorb a Scald from, say, that previous Starmie. Or, say, a Manaphy, and you'll see more about that again in my Week 1 battle versus Bob and the San Antonio Sprouts, I believe his team name is. But we're going to get into my final free pick, and that's going to be my champ, my 5th and final B tier. And this means I have used 440 points, which means I will have to draft a low tier Mega, but I will get into that later. Machamp was again not my first fighting type that I wanted to pick up, but it's there. Might as well use it. Most notably, it has no guard, dynamic punch. That's the word I'm looking for. Dynamic punch. Does a lot of damage and also confuses if it does not outright KO. Decent bulk. It's pretty darn slow though, not gonna be outspeeding much, even with a scarf. So we'll see how this turns out. This is another mon that I might end up dropping later in this season for something better, or just trading away. You never know who wants a Machamp. It's got pretty decent coverage, I believe, a lot of the elemental punches as well, and maybe get a fling iron ball or something. I don't know. I've seen it work before. Not too much to say about that pick, mostly because I didn't want it in the first place. Next up was our water type, which was actually supposed to come earlier in the draft, but snipes. This is our C tier. Doesn't cost any points. We're still sitting nice at 440. Jellicent. Jellicent is a specially bulky water type, water and ghost, and it has things such as Scald and Will-O-Wisp, and Toxic. So, yeah, I don't really expect to bring this as a special wall, because like I said, Fortress will absorb most special things all the time. But it is specially bulky. I could bring it as, a secondary wall. It has reliable recovery, and it has some statuses, so that's always nice to have. Statuses are something that I was lacking on my last season team, so just having an extra little thing, an extra mon just kind of dedicated to that could be helpful. I know a lot of people were saying, well, you could have had Sableye. I'm not going to use Sableye ever, I don't think, because I don't like what it stands for, and I don't like what it does. So I'd rather have something that can pour out some Scalds and Shadow Balls, and that thing is Jellicent. You're saying the male version, by the way, it has two forms, male and female. That does nothing but make it blue and pink. Shiny form's a little bit different. Finally, we have our franchise, which is our D tier franchise because I had extra points. Sort of. Still have to draft a lower tier mega, but you'll see about that. Again, as soon as I finish talking about my D tier, Crustle. Obligatory joke about hustling aside, Crustle has one job, and it is to shell smash out of that giant rock shell and then kill something. For those of you who don't know, shell smash lowers your defenses, but gives you a massive boost to speed, attack, and special attack, 2 times in each of those 3 stats. It doesn't have the best speed, but it does have sturdy, meaning that if stealth rocks are not up on my side of the field, I get a free shell smash off, and there's almost nothing they can do about it unless they have a multi-hit move, which are very not common, surprisingly. The only 2 that I can think, or Fake Out User. Fake Out User is a little bit more common, Mega Lopunny and Ambipom. And the 2 multi-hit users I can think of are, who am I thinking of? Chinchino and Cloyster. Those are the mons with multi-hit moves. So watch out for those, but otherwise should get a free shell smash off. Get a lot of attacks. Got decent defense as well. Stealth Rocks again. I believe this is the 4th Stealth Rock user. Yes, I forgot to mention that Gliscor has Stealth Rocks. So good on me. That little thing that you're going to see flying around your screen. Yes, that thing has Stealth Rocks. So 4 Stealth Rockers. Very important to my team comp. No way to get rid of them. That's also a problem. We'll see about that again later if that becomes a huge issue. If I begin getting hazard stacked on, you might see something such as Jellicent, Venusaur, or Machamp get dropped. But yeah, that's about it. I should mention that Crustle is a rock and bug type. Not much else to be said about it. It does have a decent attack on its own, so I don't expect it to do much outside of Shell Smash because it is such a low tier mon, but you never know. It could surprise someone some week. See about that. But now, since we have 3 extra B tiers that we are not supposed to have along an extra A tier. And this means that alongside our franchise, we have used 440 points, which is above the 400 point limit. Which means we need to get extra points from somewhere. And somewhere is our Megamon. Now, I did use this mon in Season 1, and some of you may know what I'm talking about, not the Mega form. But for those of you who don't know, if you draft a lower tier Mega, that is to say a Mega that is not used as often, because it is considered worse than the other Megas, such as Mega Abomasnow, Mega Absol, or Mega Houndoom. I believe all of which were drafted this season, by the way. Mega Tyranitar was also drafted, so that's neat. But something that would be considered worse than normal, say, Mega Lopunny, or Mega Venusaur, or Mega Scizor, which I also used. So we went ahead and drafted a lower tier Mega, picked up an extra 40 free points, and that Mega is Mega Garchomp. As you can see on your screen right now, looking badass as usual. Spikes, and giant blades of hands. The reason Mega Garchomp is not considered very good, you'd think it'd be amazing with a 170 base attack stat, but the speed is where it gets let down. Normal form of Garchomp has 102 speed, and to get that massive attack stat, they took out 10 points of base speed. And so once you Mega Evolve, Mega Garchomp no longer has 102 base speed, it has 92 base speed. And because you cannot slap a Scarf on there because you have to hold a Mega Stone, a lot of things will naturally outspeed it and be able to KO with, say, an HP Ice, since special defense is not that great. Defense is good, but we can get into that later since it no longer has Rough Skin. A lot of people are also disappointed by the ability Sand Force, which only activates during Sandstorm, and I believe basically makes you hit a little bit harder. Hitting harder has never been one of Mega Garchomp's main concerns because of that base 170 attack stat. It's basically going to OHKO anything it can hit with an Earthquake or Outrage outside of, say, a Ferrothorn or a Gliscor, because we have Gliscor. Doesn't have any speed setup, I believe. I don't think it has agility, and it does not get Dragon Dance. We wish it has Dragon Dance, but it does not. It also has Swords Dance in case it needs to OHKO that Ferrothorn, but we'll see if that gets used. I really just wanted to use Garchomp again, but I didn't want to draft actual Garchomp. I had a lot of fun just kind of earthquaking things. Something you also know is that I do have both of Mega Garchomp's types already on the team. I have Dragon type in Kyurem and Ground type in Gliscor. This was originally not the case, but yeah. Garchomp is also 4 times weak to Ice again, so that's where the Ice type weakness comes into play that I mentioned earlier. There's not too much else to be said about this. I kind of just wanted to use a lower tier Mega. I didn't want to go to, like, say, Mega Venusaur next because that was the logical next choice after taking Latias, Scizor, and Lopunny. I also think I also didn't want another Mega Carry. Season 1 Mega Scizor was not brought to every match, and I feel like that helped me a lot in freedom of team building. And I feel like Season 2 and Season 3 I was kind of hindered because I felt like I had to bring Mega Latias and Mega Lopunny to every game because they were inherently the mons that would carry me. And some of my best games were when those mons didn't carry me. So, for example, when Nidoking got 4 kills versus Dallas Victory Stars, that was a case in which Mega Lopunny did not have to carry. And that was a pretty big win for us, probably the biggest win of the season. And so I wanted to go back to that kind of team format where I have a lot of variable mons. I don't know what the word is, but mons that can be brought in a lot of different situations, do a lot of different things, and basically have it so that there's never going to be the same team twice. And I think the draft reflects that with a lot of B tiers. The B tiers are known for being they're known for being very versatile. I'll just say that. So we'll see how that goes for us. Still haven't drafted Regigigas, by the way. We'll see if that comes to play in Season 5, if it gets a primal form. Season 5 is going to be Sun and Moon, by the way, I should say that. But that wraps up my draft recap. On the screen, you can see my entire Season 4 team. No sprites, just cool little pictures that I found. Mega Garchomp looking to kill something, tear some souls apart, wreck some lives. Fortress looking fine as always, and everything else just kind of fooling around. So we'll see how well I do this season. Again, we're always aiming for playoffs, but it's a bit difficult this year. You saw that we do have a kind of big 4. We have Gavin, Burke, Xavier, and Cornet. Something to note, Cameron did leave the league. We're down to 12 members again, and I'm going to try to list them all out. We have Will, Michael, Blaze, Raymond, Hayden, myself, Boo, Bob, then Xavier, Burke, Korn, and Gavin, like I mentioned before. Nailed it. 12 members. They're all going to be competing for 4 playoff spots. And something that I should mention, you saw on this page, we had the Alpha logo. There is also a beta league comprised of new players, and the bottom 2 people in the league, 11th and 12th place with the worst records, will be bumped down to that beta league automatically. And we don't want that to happen because we've competed with the Alpha members for 3 seasons now. We've beat a lot of them. We've lost to a lot of them. I enjoy competing with them, and we're trying our best to stay in Alpha and maybe even make those playoffs. We'll see if we can edge out someone like, say, Gavin or Xavier. Um, but we don't know until the season starts, and we will see when the season starts with my team week 1 team builder versus Bob and the San Antonio Sprouts. But that is it from me, and I will see you all later. Thanks very much.